Welcome back to American Agenda. I'm Bob Sellers here with Heather Childers. Well, California's Governor Gavin Newsom has issued a statewide lockdown starting today. But not everybody agrees with that move. A lot of folks don't. Talk show host Ann Elizabeth is calling for the governor, along with LA Mayor Eric Garcetti and the city's top health official, Barbara Ferrer, to give up their salaries and donate to the restaurant workers that are left unemployed. And she's not the only one who has a problem with this massive lockdown. Also, Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone is going to join us. He's from the Archdiocese of San Francisco, and he thinks the closures violate the right to worship. We're going to talk with both, but right now let's start our discussion with the former. Who do we have here?
And
Oh, we do. Okay, we'll start with the Archbishop then. Thank you for. Oh, we don't have. Okay, Ann Elizabeth. I'm so sorry. I wanted to ask you. I think a lot of people agree with you. We can't believe all these shutdowns are going on in California, and the idea of not paying them is a great idea. The problem that I always see in that is usually these people are rich anyway.
Yeah, the governor makes $100,000 a month. Barbara makes $38,000 a month. And Mayor Garcetti makes $20,000 a month living in a free mansion donated by the Gettys. So they do have a lot of money. This isn't going to affect them. And they need to be held justifiable for the same protocol that they are asking these others to follow.
yeah, I do believe that the Archbishop is with us. There he is. Archbishop, thank you for joining us. And in reference to these new lockdowns, we were speaking with a rabbi earlier that talked about the emotional effects that this has of people living in these areas. What about that in terms of people you've spoken with?
Well, this is certainly very distressing for our people. They were so happy to be able to return to church, even though it was in very limited circumstances. Just to have that possibility available to them was a great consolation. And now they're shut out of church again, especially at this time of the year with the Christmas celebrations coming up, and these weeks preceding Christmas for us this Advent season is a very spiritually meaningful time of the year, marked by many special holy occasions. So it's a very difficult time for people to be shut out of churches.
Yeah, and I used to live in California, and I can't imagine people putting up with this as long as they have. Is there real pushback right now?
Yes, there's a lot of pushback, and we are getting out there, and we're rallying, and we are getting the word out. I know that the owner of Spago is actually petitioning this in Beverly Hills. There's just no science to this lockdown. Outdoor dining is not affected by coronavirus. We have study after study that show it does not spread outside. And this is just an unjustifiable lockdown. And it's right before Christmas. And I think that is warranted to mention because people rely on their income, many of them living paycheck to paycheck with families, with children.
Right.
And they want to see Santa Claus coming to town. And it's just disgusting, really, that they would do this just weeks before the Christmas season or just before Christmas.
Yeah. Archbishop, do you think that that does have something to do with it? I know you were talking about the significance of the timing in terms of families coming together and people seeking out, established religion at the Christmas time. Do you think that this is something that's playing into effect in terms of the timing?
I couldn't speculate on that. I think it's the increase of the infection rate that is the concern. But I agree that they're not taking everything into consideration. That's one factor to take into consideration. But all the harm that's being done by the lockdowns also has to be considered with the increase in issues with mental health and depression and suicides and domestic violence. The list goes on and on. We hear about this all the time. We can continue to operate our society and open the economy in a more restricted way with certain safety protocols. And certainly with regard to us as people of faith in our houses of worship, we have safety protocols that have been scientifically proven to be effective in protecting people, so we can have indoor worship in a very safe way. We don't want to be reckless. We have every intention to protect public health and do this responsibly. But we are being discriminated against compared to even the restrictions on indoor retail is hard enough as it is, but we're not even allowed what they're allowed, and we have a First Amendment right to worship.
Yeah, and I'm with you on stopping paying these people their salaries because it seems like there's but usually these people are rich. So I've thought, why not cut off the budget they have that pays all the people that work for them, all their staffs? Why not cut off the funds they're getting from the government to help them run, because they're sitting there, they're getting paid and telling other people not to work.
They are, and what's good for the goose is not good for the gander, and it's incredibly unfair. And I'd love to see them start standing in solidarity with the very people whose jobs they are taking. And if that means them not taking their salary and putting it into a special account until we can figure out how to distribute that, I think that's fair. And would they do this to their own staff? That is a very good question. I don't think they would.
You know, and what have some of the restaurants there said about this in terms of the amount of money that they spent setting up all of these outdoor dining areas as well? I mean, what's being said about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more of the same. I know that they spend thousands of dollars in preparation of outdoor dining to keep, these big screens up and to make sure that people are separated. And all that goes by the wayside. I mean, who cares about the poor restaurant owners and the people putting money out for this? Who cares about the restaurant workers? And let's talk about the farmers who supply it and the garbage companies that pick it up and the chain reaction that this all makes. All the food suppliers, distributors, everybody. It affects everybody.
Yeah, Archbishop, would you take steps in your archdiocese to make sure people take safety precautions without the government telling you to?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We issued safety protocols similar to that are being observed in Catholic communities all throughout the United States. Way back in, I think, around April or May, we already developed a way to conduct our services with social distancing, people wearing masks, sanitizing between services, and keeping doors and windows open for ventilation. So, yes, we would do that in any event without a government requirement. But we just want to have our right respected to conduct worship. The government has no right to tell the church it can't worship. I respect the government's responsibility to tell us what we have to do to protect public health, so I have no problem with that. But it can't be so restricted as to, in effect, ban public worship.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth, Archbishop Coeur de Leon, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.